Is stealth OP and underpowered at the same time? That is the question. Once again, this is one of these vlog type of videos, so just put some random gameplay up. Feel free to, you can just listen to this like it's a podcast or something, but before we get into this, the question is, where did this question come from? Why stealth? Why is that the subject of today's discussion? Well, Captiva, one of the commenters, brought up that, stealth is super easy. The only thing that's really a disadvantage to it is going slower. And I've also just noticed that that's a frequent complaint. To give you an idea of what people complain about, it goes kind of like this. Fox is the smelliest of losers. His face is a butt, and his butt is a face, and all he does is run away and sneak past all the zombies. He doesn't do any fighting. He's just a big, fat, smelly loser. And, I sat down and I thought about it. Mainly about if my butt was really a face and if my face was really a butt. But in the process of thinking about that, you know what? Maybe it's OP. Maybe stealth is OP and somehow also underpowered. I mean, how can that be, though? Because when you think about it, how often does Fox choose stealth? I mean, I do typically choose it maybe once per playthrough, but a lot of times, I don't know. I'll pick other skills. Stealth is not my favorite Wits skill, despite the fact that I use stealth. And what is my favorite Wits skill? Probably resourcefulness tied with scouting. And that gets us to kind of the second part of this, which is we need to actually agree on some definitions in order to really understand how stealth can be OP and OP at the same time. And what we need to do is separate the term stealth from what I'm going to call sneaking. The reason for this is because we're going to call stealth just the advanced wit skill. And sneaking will be the act of employing stealth strategies in the game. And the reason, because basically, when we're talking about the skill, and then we're talking about just being stealthy or using stealth, I might not be talking about the skill, and that's really the key to this. It's the idea that sneaking and employing stealth-based strategies probably is OP. But at the same time, stealth, the wits skill, I would say it is underpowered. And that's kind of like, oh my God, like Fox pulled the rug up from under your feet. It was kind of a trick statement. But that's really the subject matter here. The idea that stealth, the skill, kind of stinks. It's not bad. That's why it only kind of stinks. It's like, you could tolerate it, but it's not like some people will swear up and down about it. Oh my God, stealth is like, how can you even play? It's like necessary for the Nightmare Zone. How can you play Nightmare Zone without stealth? Very easily is actually the answer. And this gets to the idea. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this is why stealth, the skill, kind of stinks. And the answer is because the base level of sneaking is already really good. It goes to the question, how can you play Nightmare Zone without the stealth skill? Well, you just push the crouch button, and then you spam crouch over and over again. You crouch spam to just go around, and you basically have the stealth skill. You can go similarly as fast, and all you can't really do is, you don't execute the zombies quite as quickly, and they're able to spot you a little more effectively. But I mean, honestly, the main thing that you want from sneaking around is just being able to sneak and go a little bit faster and then stealth kill the periodic zombies that you need. And that's the reason why stealth, the skill, is kind of smelly. The only reason I choose stealth is for the immunity to search crashes. So I actually choose stealth for the enhanced ability to loot things faster. Like I treat stealth as a looting skill rather than a skill that lets you sneak more effectively. That's just kind of like the whipped cream. That's like the icing on the cake. So you got this whole concept that you don't need the stealth skill to sneak effectively. And if that's the case on Nightmare Zone, which I've demonstrated time and time again, I think that shows you that's why stealth is underpowered, because basic sneaking is so strong. And that doesn't even talk about things like crossbows. If you have a crossbow, that makes stealth executions even less valuable, especially if you have the Echo X3. So that brings us to this new concept that stealth is bad because sneaking, basic sneaking, is too good. And so honestly, you wouldn't need to nerf stealth or buff stealth to balance it. What you really need to do is nerf basic sneaking. Because the concept of stealth is that it's good. You can go faster while you're in stealth. You execute enemies faster. You don't get detected as easily. Those are all the things you would want from the stealth skill. The problem is sneaking. Just basic sneaking already does like 75% of all of that. So there's not a lot of need to invest in a skill that makes you a little bit better when you could get like resourcefulness, which is just an insane skill, or you could get scouting, which, not too good on Standard Zone, but amazing on Nightmare Zone. Have like basically little eyes on the back of your head. So that's really the issue. So other than that said, I do think that there are some enhancements that could be made to stealth. We'll talk about that later. So if the key to making stealth better is to reduce the effectiveness of sneaking, can that even be done without breaking the game? And if it can be done, how can it be done? And so the first thing I have to say is I don't think it would be a good idea in State of Decay 2, especially in Nightmare Zone, because frankly, Nightmare Zone is not what the game is balanced around. State of Decay 2 is balanced around Standard Zone. That is the level of difficulty that the developers most balanced the game around. Dread Zone and Nightmare Zone, those are just like clearly bolted on, and it's because like the dumbest things happen, especially in Nightmare Zone. It's just not an artistic form of difficulty. Like when you drive around a place to loot and there's nothing there, and you get out, well, there's nothing here, I'm gonna get out because there's nobody here, and then all of a sudden like 3 ferals appear, and you know they didn't wander in. The game just decided to spawn them there because they're like, ha 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 ha, this is Nightmare Zone, it's supposed to be difficult, so have some ferals on the house even. And so basically, if you reduce the effectiveness of the baseline sneaking ability, I think that would make Nightmare Zone, I don't think it would be fun. Could it be played? Absolutely. You could absolutely play with really crummy sneaking and only having good sneaking if you invest in the stealth skill, but I think it would just make it just wouldn't be fun. And as punishing as a game mode is typically designed to be, they're still supposed, like basically, Nightmare Zone, despite its name, is not super harrowing. Like there could absolutely be like a super Nightmare Zone or Ultra Nightmare Zone plus, you die now edition. But like, that's one of the problems there, is that the game would not play well if you reduce the effectiveness of sneaking. So this is something that I would expect, well, I don't know about expect, but I would like to see in State of Decay 3. And this is what they should do. So the first thing they should do is sneaking without the stealth skill right now. So we're just going to talk about the basic level of sneaking. It should not make you completely silent. That's the first thing it should do. Because when you're sneaking, if you didn't have like extensive knowledge of sneaking, yes, you would be quieter, but you wouldn't be silent. So basically, the idea is that you want to use the normal level of sneaking to reduce sound primarily to get past zombies, not necessarily to like go like Solid Snake and like ambush everybody. And you would make a small enough amount of noise while sneaking that you could get past zombies, but you probably make too much noise to ambush a zombie. Like, basically, if you tried to sneak up on them, they would hear you, turn around, and then that would ruin your execution attempt. That's kind of what I'm imagining. And if you were able to take down a zombie from stealth, it would also not be a silent takedown. It would be a quieter takedown, but it wouldn't be a silent takedown. And once again, the reason is because if you're not some kind of like expert at stealth, you haven't mastered how to silently bring down a zombie, that's something that a specialist would learn how to do through a lot of practice, then you just shouldn't be able to do that. Another thing that this theoretical level of sneaking should be is that it should not protect you from zombie sight too much. Sneaking should make you a bit harder to spot, but sneaking should mainly be an audio thing rather than a visual thing. Like, zombies should still be able to notice you from a decent distance away. And that's once again because we're trying to create room for stealth to be awesome. And part of that is by taking a little bit away from the basic level of sneaking and making it more, like I said, into an audio thing where you need to see the zombie ahead of time and you need to make sure its back is turned, or you need to maneuver out of its cone of vision so that you can actually employ a more silent approach into the game. I think that would be another thing, just kind of taking back some of the stealth skills territory. But I also think, like I said, this should be kind of a balance between State of Decay 1 and 2. They should bring foliage back. I think they kind of brought foliage back, but foliage should act as full cover, full visual cover for everyone who does not have the stealth skill. The people with stealth, they can sneak around way more effectively. They don't need to be in the foliage cover. But for the people who don't have it, foliage should be the answer for full visual cover. They also need to get rid of the crouch spam. It just needs to be noisy. Or maybe just not allow people to do it. Like, maybe you can't, I don't know what they could do to prevent the crouch spam, but it's something that does need to change because the crouch spam is part of what just makes stealth super smelly. Like, what good is sprinting in stealth when someone without stealth can just crouch spam and go at a pretty similar speed? Maybe it's not quite as stamina efficient, but it's good. The question is, why are you investing a wits skill advancement into something that gives you only a slight benefit? Like, oh, you're slightly more stamina efficient, maybe you're slightly faster, and that's just a maybe. At the end of the day, you might be the same. Now, obviously, if you combine it with marathon, you'd be able to sprint infinitely. But now you're committing two whole skills, stealth and marathon, to overcome the ability to crouch spam. And that's what I mean by how we need to take some of the territory of stealth back away from the basic level of sneaking. Now, I do think some improvements could be made to stealth, even though I think just nerfing the base level of sneaking would really improve stealth, because that would increase the pressure. Like, if you weren't able to sneak like a super stealthy god, then the pressure to invest in stealth would be way, way higher. And like I said, even if stealth had no changes, if it just did what it did already, it would already be really good. But I think stealth could be even better. And this is what I would do. The first thing I would do is I would basically combine scouting and stealth into the same skill. Because I feel like the two of them, that they coincide with each other. Like, if you're really good at stealth, chances are you're going to be really good at scouting, because being stealthy has a lot to do with just being observant around your surroundings. And in return, I think the search crash bonus should just be dropped. I don't think stealth should have anything to do with looting, basically. Stealth should be just about being stealthy and detecting people. And instead, I think by removing the search crash bonus, what I think they should do is add an entirely new wits skill. So basically, combine scouting and stealth. I don't know what you'd call it. I don't know. Maybe you could just call it stealth. Maybe you just call it scouting. But the new skill they should add, I don't know what to call it. Just call it salvaging or something, and just make it an entire wit skill that is all about looting more efficiently. It should just be about, like, that's where your search crash immunity should come from. That's where, take away the scouting ability to detect where loot is, give it to this new salvaging skill. So salvaging can see loot through walls. Salvaging can loose fast loot and other things. This is different. They're getting into a different subject, but add in this, combine some of the features of scouting, some of the features of stealth, drop some of the other ones, and combine those into a brand new wit skill. Now, the other thing I would do with stealth is if you have stealth, it would unlock stealth executions on all types of zombies, including like something like a feral. Like you should be able to sneak up on a feral and you should be able to do a stealth kill. Like, the tables have turned. Like, you pounce on the feral and, like, it goes, blah, 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 and you stab it and it dies. And you get to kind of give it a taste of its own medicine. You should be able to stealth attack a juggernaut. Now, it shouldn't kill it in one hit. It should do, like, I don't know. You guys can, like, decide like, how much damage would it do. 25%, 33%, 50%. I don't know. It should do some amount of damage to the juggernaut's health. But I like the idea of skills interacting with each other. So what I think you should be able to is, if you have stealth and you have knowledge of munitions, you should be able to one-hit kill a juggernaut from stealth by planting a C4 on it. Like you jump on it, you jump on it and you put a C4 on its head or something and you blow it up. And I think that would just be like a really awesome way to have some of these skills combined together, because I think skill combinations is absolutely something they should be looking more into. I also think having stealth should allow you to sneak up on hostile humans and get stealth executions on humans. Once again, I think another thing that would make stealth really cool. And while on this subject, and really like kind of the thing I want to wrap things up with, is this idea that I think stealth should add a whole additional layer of sort of like gameplay. And I want to have this thing called intel. And, you should be able to gather intel in a variety of ways. But one of the things stealth should do is allow infiltration. And what infiltration does is it's going to allow you to spy on your allies, on just neutral enclaves and hostile enclaves. And what it'll do is it'll let you'll kind of document the stuff you hear. Like, maybe your allies are withholding information from you that, like one of the other allies are going to like defect and, they just don't want to say anything. Or maybe they found this really awesome loot, but they're like, oh, let's not tell the guys. Let's keep it all for ourselves. Or maybe they have a request that they're coming up on and, you learn about it early. Or just learning about like what they're trying to do, learning about some of their problems. And same with like neutral enclaves, like you can kind of decide, like, do you want to be friends with them? Maybe it even reveals like if you did become allies with them, this is what you would get. Maybe you'd be able to like eavesdrop on like an enemy enclave and you'd find out that not everybody in this enclave hates you, and maybe you could talk to them and get them to betray their former allies and then recruit them or something. Just like get this cool way to gather like intel, and the intel would unlock in the game your missions. Like the game's always giving you missions, but then you'd be able to create your own missions. Like with the intel, you would be able to make decisions based on the enclave. Like you might be able to do something, I don't know, form like a trade federation. Like, okay, like I've got intel on these 3 enclaves, so we're going to create like this kind of like triangle trade network between them. Or you could do something where maybe there's 2 enclaves who don't like each other and they're both neutral to you, and you find, you can actually resolve them just by talking it out, and then they can both become friendly. Or you just basically like getting intel would let you create your own custom missions, because I think that would be another interesting future for State of Decay, where you build your own missions. You create your own objectives that give you closer to the rewards that you want, rather than completely relying on like, just random missions popping up, random rewards. You don't know what you're going to get. And then sometimes those random missions can feel really burdensome, where it's like, oh God, more missions. I just want to do what I want to do. But like I don't want them to skip this mission. I think it'd be way cooler if you could start building your own missions. And the options of how you build those missions would be based on intel. And one of the ways you would get intel is by using stealth to get intel from the AI that they aren't willing to just directly say to you. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comment section. This is my argument for why stealth is both overpowered and underpowered at the same time, and my solution to what I think could be done to make the stealth skill better, but also balance the regular level of stealth, which I agree is probably too powerful. And once again, this isn't about making the game like, oh my God, just because you're good at the game doesn't mean everyone else is. I just want a balanced game. That's what I care about. And to me, it has nothing to do with how good or how bad people are. What I want is a balanced game. And having played the game as long as I have, I can see where the game is exploitable, not in terms of like gaming exploits, but in the sense of this is a weakness of the AI. You can really abuse the AI doing this or doing that. And one of the things that's just really strong is sneaking around. You know what another really strong one is? Running away. Running away might be OP in State of Decay. In fact, that might be the subject of another discussion. Maybe not the next one, but is running away OP? If you run away too much, is your face suddenly a butt? And is your butt suddenly a face? That is the question. But I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Do you think stealth, the skill, is too weak, too strong? Is it just fine? What do you think about the baseline level of sneaking? And what about when you watch me? Like, do you agree? Like, when you see how I employ sneaking around without the stealth skill, like, do you agree that it's still just it's super powerful? You don't need... Do you play similarly to me, where you're like, stealth? I don't use stealth for stealth. I use it for search crash immunity. And also, what about the idea of a wit skill that's all about looting? I mean, that would be amazing to me. That'd be absolutely amazing. If there was a wit skill that was all about looting, I would take that every single time. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like this video if it was interesting. And of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.